and welcome to
Monday Chat.
That's right, it's Monday Chat this week.
It is no Sunday Chat.
Oh, Paul, you don't need to keep on saying it.
Because it's Monday Chat.
Monday Chat and it's...
Monday Chat.
It's going to be Murder Chat in a moment.
Murder Chat.
Yeah. So welcome. It's bloody Monday afternoon.
It is, yeah.
It is, and it's, yeah. Yeah.
It is Monday afternoon.
Yeah.
There we are. Isn't that fabulous?
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. Come again. We're both a bit sort of phased out, a little bit knackered.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
It's been a busy few days.
Partying.
We went to a party. We did. Very, very far away.
Yeah, the faraway land.
Yeah.
Called Macclesfield.
Yeah, anyway, more of that in a moment. Let's just say bloody thank you for watching and joining us and waiting for us. Waiting.
Oh, yeah.
Waiting. Thank you. Yeah. What do we normally kick off with, Paul? We normally kick off with Richard and Paul's weather report.
Absolutely.
That's right, and for those of you who are new, that's what we do.
Well, that's just what we said.
And remember, if you want it all, watch Richard and Paul.
Yeah, which at the moment you just got a lot of garble and maybe a bit of a sort of preamble of weather. Yeah,
We're normally fairly coherent.
Yes, normally. Yeah, not this time.
Anyway, Paul, what has the weather been like? I can't remember last week, can you?
Fingers and toes.
Oh, I wish you wouldn't say that. It's so just not right.
Wet.
When I think fingers and toes, I don't think of wet.
Well,
I think of cold
do.
fingers and cold toes.
No,
That's
I
what
think of wet. Because that song came out at a very, very sort of interesting part of my life. I was actually looking after 3 teenagers when their parents sort of went off. And I was looking after them for a weekend. And their parents sort of... they came back, and then a few weeks later they vanished from the island of Guernsey completely. Myself and my friends have no idea where they ended up, but we then found out that they left loads and loads of bills, for rental and food, and it was a
I really don't know what you're
time.
talking about, and nobody else does. So let's leave off, shall we? Really? No idea. Don't really care. And you know how interesting that was, Paul? That interesting. Weather. It has been very wet. And it's been cool. Very cool. I mean, this doesn't feel like spring.
Well...
It doesn't, apart from the blossoms, which are out like 4 weeks early, some of them. Our blossoms are all out at the same time. I didn't design the garden that way.
How did you design the garden?
For them to come out in rotation.
Oh.
That's how I designed it when I put them in, but they're all out at the same time.
Maybe you could have chosen plants that came out in rotation.
I did. I couldn't account for climate change.
No, you can't. You
No.
can't. But no, last week it was funny. It was quite wet again last week, and when there were bouts of sun, it was lovely. But yeah, I found it quite cold. It's
cold.
It's odd, isn't it? Because when it's been really cold, he's been feeling much colder than I have. But last week you were sort of going, oh well, it's a bit milder, blah blah. And I was feeling cold last week. It's odd how we all have our own sort of temperature controls within us somehow. And for some reason last week mine were set lower. And I just felt cold much of last week.
Well, I felt kind of not too well.
Oh yeah.
Last week. And And I thought I'd got over it, and by the time we get back to this cold house, having been away for the weekend in warm places,
Very warm places in one case, yeah.
you know, it's kind of like the difference, you know, and I'm sure that actually what happens with me, it's the temperature changes that cause me to feel as though I've got a cold all the bloody time.
Oh,
I can't go on, but I'll try.
I don't know. I've been sneezing quite a bit lately, and that for me, that's a sort of cold, warm differential. I tend to sneeze quite a lot. You know, I'll go into a warm room and sneeze.
Or it could be pollen in the air.
Oh, it could be pollen.
Tree pollen.
I think, yeah, it could be. I don't think it is, but I'm not really affected by pollen.
Well, that's what we all say until we get hay fever.
Yeah,
unexpectedly, and that's happened
true.
a few times.
Yeah, yeah.
Anywho, so we've been away for the weekend. It was my nephew's 21st birthday, and my sister invited us to a party, a family get-together in the north,
Up north.
and in Cheshire, Macclesfield, my hometown, where I grew up. So we went up on Friday. We went to another friend's on Friday to see them and stay with them in Nantwich in Cheshire. And then we went over to Macclesfield on the Saturday for the party, checked into a Premier Inn.
Yeah.
And for those of you in other countries, Premier Inn is a budget hotel chain in the UK. And we've stayed there quite a few times. Always been pretty satisfied with it. It's always clean-ish.
Yeah.
And they do a good breakfast as well. Good vegetarian breakfast with plenty to eat. So,
But the toaster.
What about the toaster?
Got your
Paul?
phone. Toasters in hotels. I mean, what is it with
What, you
toasters
mean
in
those,
hotels?
Those rotary toasters
Yeah.
where you put the bread in and say goodbye for about 4 hours.
Yeah, and then it comes out slightly warm. You know, I think I treble dunked my toast. Treble dunked. And it still came out with a warmth and a hint of brown rather than toasted. I mean, I can hardly bear toast that isn't toast. You know, toast needs to be toasted. That's the name. Otherwise, it's warm bread. You know.
Oh, Paul, thank you for that.
Well, it's true.
And I also noticed...
Especially if you're having something like, you know, butter and Marmite, because it, you know, you want to have that little bit of crispiness with it and things. So, yeah, toast needs to be properly toasted.
All right. And
I think I might actually start a political party. Perfect Toast Company.
There we are. That's better.
And then people who like Perfect Toast can join it and we can all be in good company. And you see it sometimes on Facebook posts, you know, they go, here's egg on toast, and you go, yeah, your scrambled egg is fine, but your bread is just warm.
Paul,
Yeah, it's not right.
look over there. Oh, that's better. We also noticed that the pain au chocolat and the croissant were not on show.
They were hidden away in the kitchen.
Well, her words were, we have croissant and pain au chocolat and rolls in the back.
Would you like any?
Would you like any? And I thought, we know why, don't we?
It's because people have been stuffing them down to have their boobies bigger.
I used to do that as well. You take a couple for the way home.
A couple for the road.
Yeah. That's what everybody does. Wrapped in a napkin in your handbag.
Yeah. We used
They're
to...
not letting you do that now. Although we could have nicked a couple of fruit and fibres.
We could, yes.
I mean, but they're harder to eat in a car without milk.
And there were some bananas that looked as though they'd just been picked from the banana tree because they were green. I did actually look at them and think, are they plantains? Or are they bananas? Because they were so green.
Oh,
really? Well, you know.
Really?
But yeah, it's a nice breakfast, and you had fruit juice.
I had some apple juice.
Yeah.
That's
It was an
right.
exciting
Coffee.
weekend.
We do lead exciting lives.
Absolutely.
But a good time was had by all.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nice to see the family. Yeah.
It was.
And I got drunk.
You did.
Yeah, and we had to walk back to the hotel, which was hairy, I have to say.
And then you got frightened by a group of people that were following us.
I didn't like that.
He didn't like that.
No.
They were perfectly normal people, but Richard, his mind just sort of went into one of those sort of like doomsday
They're serial
scenarios.
killers.
So he's charging ahead of me with his long legs, and I'm sort of, following on with my hobbit legs, and he's getting further and further away. And
Drunk people.
Yeah. What, like you? Like you were?
In a northern town, drunk people in a northern town on a Saturday night can be quite hostile. I have experience of this. So when I hear a gang of people walking behind me, I do not dawdle to encounter them.
No.
This is the advice I would give anybody.
Yeah.
That's it. I have lots of experience of that, so don't diss it, Paul.
No, so
if I say get a move on, I mean get a move on.
I was getting a move on with my hobbit legs. But, we did, it was a gang of people at the end of the road, about 6 people.
Exactly.
And their average age must have been about 70, 75 or something.
Exactly.
So, you do need to be careful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The elderly ones are the worst.
And then 3 of them were at our hotel for breakfast as well. So, they were very pleasant.
I didn't even know who they were because I didn't linger to look.
Just a whoosh, like that.
That's the thing. You don't know. And it's a very narrow footpath on that main road.
It is. It
when
goes.
You're drunk.
It's narrow all the time because it doesn't shift, depending on somebody's state of sobriety or not. But it goes from being quite wide pavement to really narrow, and
I didn't enjoy that.
No, he didn't
I did
enjoy
not
it.
enjoy that at all. I couldn't go on. Anywho, let's get on with the show because it's not a long one.
No.
I feel barely human as it is.
You took a while to wake up this morning,
God.
didn't you?
I was absolutely exhausted last night.
Yeah.
That's the thing about travel. I love seeing the family and friends, I really do, but driving, the Americans amongst you will think, oh my God, what? It was only a 3-hour drive. But to us, we don't really go anywhere, and motorway driving in the UK is you're not talking about long, clear roads with no traffic. You're talking very congested motorways with absolute idiot drivers and lots and lots and lots of lorries. Driving back yesterday, it was torrential rain for most of the journey. Paul drove back because I was hungover, frankly. And the concentration that we both have to do.
Yeah.
Because you're looking out. I'm looking out for you as well.
He did say to me at one point, everyone's braking, and I went, I know.
But you hadn't
I
braked.
had, because there was a small red Fiat literally 5 feet behind me, and I had to brake gently, or else I think that person might not have noticed.
Yeah.
They were driving far, far too close.
Really
But
hairy.
in fact, they were driving so close, in the wing mirrors, I couldn't even see the car behind me, this red Fiat. I could see it in the rear view mirror, but it was so close to us I couldn't see any of the car in the wing mirrors.
There was a lot of bad driving going on, a lot
There
of bunching up,
There was.
even in torrential rain. And the amount of spray from the lorries, just unbelievable.
But I also
And
noticed
potholes.
Oh yeah, lots of potholes
Everywhere.
Yeah, I did notice when we were coming up the by Princess Risborough, there was a really big pothole at the side of the road, just like anyway. But I did notice that a lot of spray was coming off really modern cars, like cars that have been sold in the last 4 or 5 years that seem to have no mudguard whatsoever. The mudguard seems to finish really high on the car. And the spray was just horrendous, particularly on Lexuses, I noticed.
I think they're designed to keep the water off the body of the car itself.
Yeah.
And channel it backwards. But it was, anyway, suffice to say, it was an arduous journey. Took a little bit longer than we would normally. I think it was about 3.5, 4 hours, something like that.
I think it was 4 hours, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's not a long journey, but yeah, it's a concentrated drive. Let's put it that way. And last night, I was exhausted. I mean, 9 o'clock, I was in bed.
You were, I think, was it
Actually,
9 o'clock or before?
9:45.
I think so. We were watching a programme and you just fell asleep and said, right, I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
I was, and slept right through.
And I'm reading a good book at the moment, so I went at the same time as well.
I woke up at, I think, 5 and then went back to sleep and had a headache this morning as well. I was dehydrated.
I woke up about 7:30. There was a mother and child outside, and the child was having a whinge about something, and that woke me up. So, yeah.
Anywho. So, yes. And, you know, the other thing about going away is when it's just a couple of days that you're away for, it just feels so rushed. You don't really have, even though you're spending a relaxed time with friends and family, I don't think you fully relax. And also you're sleeping in beds that you're not familiar with. So I didn't get a terribly good night's sleep either of the nights. So yeah, it catches up so quickly.
I think somebody said, I'm not sure what it was. Oh, it was on coffee. A coffee member said, one of the most enjoyable things about going away is putting your bags in your own house. And I think that's right. You know, it's always lovely to go and see people, but that sort of moment when you come back in your front door and put your bags down and think, oh, I'm home.
Yeah.
You know, that's always glorious. Absolutely.
And I think also, I mean, to be absolutely honest with you, the act of being sociable, and I mean, I was quite sociable at the party.
You were, yeah. You were sociable with quite a bit of red wine, weren't you? Yeah.
And I was quite loud.
Yeah.
And I think me and my sisters were singing at one point.
You were singing quite a lot, only for about a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And being quite loud and leery and having a good laugh.
Yeah, you were.
To be honest.
Yeah.
You know, well, me and my sisters do. We don't see each other very
No,
often, so we have a good old laugh.
I know.
And we have very similar senses of humour as well, which can get quite dark sometimes. And
it can be very, as a sort of, I think I said this at the table, because you know, the nephews and nieces, sort of many of them, or most of them, in Richard's side of the family, have got, you know, partners, and I said, you know, I think it's sort of fair to say that everyone who's not born into this family via blood, there are certain things that we do sit back and we just sort of like look at and chuckle. It does make me laugh.
yeah.
But I think that's it with families, isn't it? Because families, whatever your family is, you've usually lived with that family for a very long time, obviously, and there are certain sort of, you know, things that are just the norm in your family, which from somebody looking as an outsider, just sort of chuckles. And even 31 years into knowing Richard's family, there are still things that just make me chuckle.
Well, I mean, I think we're all quite vibrant personalities, and, you know, as children, we entertained ourselves, you know. Me and my sisters, we spent a lot of time together, and we entertained ourselves doing various silly things.
Well, you're also sort of an age, aren't you? Your sisters are a couple of years younger than you, but you're all of an age where in my family, my brothers were sort of 6 and 7 years older than me, so I sort of came along as a bit of a surprise, an addition, you know, the milkman left an extra pint, my dad always said. Where with yours, that you're sort of very much sort of the same generation.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Anywho,
Yeah.
a good time was had by all.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Yeah.
So, that's it, really.
That's it.
Haven't got anything else to say. There will be no daily vlogs for last week. I did start vlogging, but things just became too busy to even get my head around it. So, sorry about that to my deep, loyal fans who look forward to that each week. I do apologise. They will recommence in due course.
Well, today. Get one done today.
Well, maybe.
And unlike Richard, I too was very busy last week. I had an awful lot that I needed to do at my desk.
Unlike me.
And you will find a full week of A Week at the Plot already uploaded, available to view. Oh,
so
dear.
Paul, also you wanted to mention that you were starting to sow seed.
Yeah,
Isn't it a little early?
Well,
I did that like a ventriloquist.
you did, yeah.
Isn't that a little bit early?
Yeah, oh, that was
that's
very
a
good.
new
Very
career.
Nina Conte.
That's a new career.
Yeah. I don't know if you know Nina Conti, but if you don't, look up Nina Conti on YouTube.
Oh, we went to see her live, didn't
I think
we?
I was talking.
Yeah.
Especially the ones with the masks, where she gets 2 or 3 people up on stage and puts masks on them, which she operates.
Oh yeah.
And she does their voices.
Very funny.
Hilarious. Nina Conti, look it up. Look her up.
She's Tom
yeah.
Conti's
Tom
daughter.
Conti's daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I worked with Tom Conti several times. If you get a name drop in, it's always good to do so.
Yes, I'll just pick them up off the floor, Paul.
I was talking to
Here we go.
Vanessa for her sake this morning, and she was at an event last night for Bill Kenwright at a big concert, in memoriam for him. And she was talking about Vanessa Redgrave doing a piece, a poem, and I sort of said, oh yes, yeah, Vanessa Redgrave, this and that, and Vanessa was, I didn't know you knew Vanessa Redgrave. Yeah.
And Lynn.
And Lynn Redgrave. Lynn was one of my favourite people ever. So yeah, and Corinne.
She did that fantastic one-woman show.
Shakespeare for My Father.
It's brilliant.
It's the third best thing I've ever seen on stage.
Yeah,
it
lovely.
really was.
Lovely,
So,
Paul.
yeah.
So sowing seeds approaching Easter, it says in the book.
Yes. So I notice everything is sort of beginning to ramp up in shops and things, because of course we're getting to Easter, which in the UK is very much the time that everyone starts promoting gardening products and seeds and that type of thing, because people really get going over Easter.
Because hopefully the weather starts improving.
Hopefully the weather starts improving, though it is an early Easter this Easter.
Yes.
And I
End
think
of March, same weekend as the doodahs go la la.
Clocks go la la. Yeah.
Forward.
So it will be interesting to see more people coming back to their allotments. I think quite a few have done things over the winter this year at the site, but yeah, I'm sure we'll see more people over the coming weeks. So, and I am sowing seeds. So I've sown a few seeds.
What are you sowing, Paul? Tell me.
I've sown brassicas already, and some lettuce, and some gazanias. I rarely grow flowers, but I so much like some gazanias that we had last year that I bought at Lidl, that I've decided to sow seeds, and they have started germinating, which is lovely.
Well, I think it would have been nice for you to have done some flowers that can be cut.
Well, there's still
brought
time.
into the house.
There's still time to do cut flowers.
Well, I think that would be nice. I have asked you before, but nothing forthcoming.
No, I think I just didn't listen to you at that
Well,
point. What would you like as cut flowers, Richard?
Anything.
No.
Sunflowers.
Sunflowers, right, okay.
Some lovely ones that...
Ones that
do
that.
Big ones.
Big ones that do that, like Rudbeckia maybe?
Things with things
on the end of them.
Colours.
Yeah.
Smells.
Yeah, lovely.
Anything.
Lovely. We'll do that.
Long
we'll do
ones.
That. We'll do that. We'll do that.
Thank you. So yes, Easter is fast approaching. It's the end of March. Jesus.
Yes, that's right.
Jesus
the day
is
that
approaching.
our Lord Jesus gave his life for our sins and then woke up 3 days later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he didn't really give
And
his
rolled
life,
a
did he?
big stone
Yeah.
away so
How
that
can
he
you
could
hustle that about?
go
I
out
don't
and do
know.
things.
I have told you that until I was about quite old, I
38.
Well, I don't know when it was. I honestly thought that rabbits laid eggs.
Yeah, that is just so funny.
Well, why is it funny? I don't think it's funny, Paul.
I know, but the Easter Bunny, I mean,
The
it is...
Easter Bunny brings the eggs. Why would you not think that rabbits laid eggs?
Well, I suppose it's fair to say you never see rabbits tending hens.
Well, what?
Well, eggs come from hens, so
No,
the rabbits would tend the hens and pick up the eggs, and that's where the chocolate eggs comes from.
So, Paul, hens are not the only thing that lay eggs. Snakes lay eggs.
Duck-bill platypus.
Other things lay eggs.
Frogs.
Snails.
Snails.
Slugs. They lay eggs.
Butterflies. And moths. They lay eggs. They lay eggs, and then they go to sort of hatch as maggots, and then chrysalis, and then they're...
Anyway, back to my thing. It's all about me.
Yeah.
Why would you not think eggs lay egg?
Eggs lay eggs.
Yes, what came first, the egg or the egg? Anyway, I thought it was logical.
I sort of get that logic. I do get that logic. I still find it hilarious.
But I think I was about 14 when I realised that they weren't.
I've said this before, I used to think that cats were female dogs and dogs were male
Well,
cats.
that's just silly, Paul.
I think it's perfectly fine.
No, it's not, because they look very different.
They do, but I think as a sort of very young child, I'm talking about 2 or 3 or 4, I'm not talking about 14 or whatever.
Anywho, let's move on. So yes, 2 bank holidays in the UK. Hurrah! Hurrah!
Are
I'll
they
say
2?
it again, yeah? Good Friday and Easter Monday.
Oh yeah, but not in the same month.
29th. 1st of April.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't say it was in the same month.
No, you didn't, but we have 2 in May. We have 2 in the month of May.
Yeah, we have early and late. Yes. Aren't we lucky? Hurrah, let's celebrate.
Well, it's true. I think we are, because in the UK...
We have 9.
we have about...
9?
Yeah, we have about 9 bank holidays. And then as standard, if you're on a sort of employment contract, you will have 4 weeks or 28 days, 20 days of holidays. So you have, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, times 4, so you have 20 days holidays. In America, I believe that's different. I think you have fewer bank holidays and you have fewer standard holiday days, but I'd love to know if that's true or not, because I've always thought that was the case.
I heard somebody talking about sick days as well. They have allocated sick days.
Well, our friend used to have allocated sick days. She used to count her sick days as part of her holidays and always took them as sick. Yeah.
We don't in the UK. If you're sick, you're sick. The only difference it makes is that if you reach a certain point, the company policy is triggered.
Or could be triggered, depending upon the company policy.
Yeah, so I think in ours, if you're off for 7 days or more, or is it 9 days, I'm not sure, the company policy is triggered and you have to have a back to work interview or whatever else, or it's put on your record. I don't know.
We also have statutory sick pay in the UK. So if
you have to go and see occupational health. That's it.
Yeah, that's sort of like council and things.
Yeah.
But in private companies and in public companies over here as well, you have like 7 days where you don't usually need a sick note to say you're ill. But if it goes beyond that, then a company can need a sick note. They can decide to pay the normal rate or a statutory sick pay, which is about, I think, £98 a week, something like that. So,
but in reality, most companies pay you for 6 months.
I think many do, but small independent companies would very often not be able to do that.
The companies I've always worked for, mind you, it's been the BBC, Ealing Council, I think it's 6 months that you get full pay for if you're off sick with a doctor's note. Anywho, let's move on because we need to move on.
We do, we're moving
There's
on.
other things to do today. So,
are you going to have a nap?
Oh, yeah. I feel as though I could have a nap.
Just now. Yeah. Oh, dear.
I can nap anywhere,
He can.
anytime,
He can.
easy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's good for you.
Yeah,
it's good for me.
I think it's good for you, yeah.
Yeah, it works for me. So, television. What have we watched on television this week, Paul? Well, we continue with RuPaul's Drag Race versus the world, UK versus the world.
Yeah.
We're still enjoying that.
Yeah, and I think the right person went out, though you'd have liked to seen her go out earlier.
Weeks ago, frankly.
But I was glad that she's gone out now.
I mean, really, I'm not going to say the person's name because I don't want to be horrible.
Well, don't be horrible then.
But I'm going to be horrible anyway. I mean, there's really very little talent other than being able to dress up and go on a show.
I think there is potential there. I think there's really potential
in 10
there.
years' time with some coaching.
No,
and acting
I think
lessons.
that person just needs to break through a barrier of shyness, which is very much like me as well.
I think they've broken through that barrier of shyness already to have actually got on the show in the first place.
Okay, you think
frankly.
that. Yeah, I think differently.
Really? We've started a new one on Apple TV. Well, I don't think it's a new one as in new to Apple TV. I think it's a couple of years old. Lisey's Story, Lisey''s, Lisey's Story.
That's a Stephen King,
Julianne Moore.
adapted by Stephen King, starring
Julianne Moore and Clive Owen.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I have no idea what's going on.
No.
No idea.
But enjoying it.
But I want to know what's going on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because there's a couple of things that you go,
What?
what?
So there we are.
Yeah.
We carry on Constellation.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I don't think we've watched the latest episode, but we will be. So, yeah, we carry on with that.
And that, again, is quite interesting to watch because, again, we don't really know what's going on.
No. I think there's parallel lives going on, but who knows?
Well, it's something to do with different dimensions, different universes. Existing at the same time, being accessed by different people in different ways, and yeah, interesting. We watched an interesting.
We watched something else that was interesting.
We watched an interesting program on Freddie Mercury from Queen.
Yeah.
Now, I've never been a big Queen fan. I've always appreciated their music. Do you want me to continue, Paul? Because I'll stop.
No.
I've always appreciated their music and always thought their production was excellent, but never really bought an album of theirs. But it was a Life in 10 Pictures. And that was good.
And this is on the BBC, and what they're doing is they're taking 10 photos, which are obviously sort of significant photos of particular event or happening, and this was the first one, and the photo that they took was Freddie Mercury at Live Aid, where he's holding up his arm, and it most probably appeared on most major newspapers around the world as the big photo of Live Aid. And it was interesting because it featured a lot of people who he either went to school with or he was friends with. and these people are not necessarily the front facing people. They're people that were in his personal life and not his sort of like celebrity life, if you see what I mean. And you got a different perspective of him. I thought it was a fascinating programme.
Yeah, it was interesting. Very interesting. We continue with the Cotswolds and beyond with Pam Ayres. Yeah, I mean, it's very light.
It is. It's rather lovely and yeah, it passes. Yeah, it's sort of soft and fluffy and passes time, and I just adore Pam Ayres. I always have done. Yeah.
We continue with the Great Pottery Throwdown as well, which frankly I was too tired to even be bothered with. Really.
So we haven't watched the end of that. We don't know who's won. I'm sure we will finish that today at some point.
And we also watched a programme on 60s television, didn't we, as well?
Yeah, it was quite interesting. Yeah,
Did we talk about that last week?
No, we talked about kids' TV and things last week.
Did we?
So this was sort of looking at major programmes of the 60s, like Blue Peter and Tomorrow's World and things like that.
Oh yeah, Maggie Philbin was on.
The lovely Maggie Philbin.
Yeah.
Always had a quite a bit of passion for Maggie Philbin. She was always excited by what she was doing, and I had passion for her passion.
I can't say I've ever felt passion for her.
Oh, that sounded a bit like carpets. Oh dear.
And we'll leave that there.
Oh yeah.
So thank you for watching this week.
Hadn't we watched something else?
No, that's it. That's all we've watched.
Oh right, yeah, I thought we'd watched something else.
And yeah, that's it really. We're saying goodbye now.
Are we saying goodbye?
We're saying goodbye. Say goodbye.
So Richard can go up and edit this together.
Yeah, it's got to be edited and uploaded, blah blah blah.
And I think I will be going to the plot to get some... What are we going to have this evening? I don't know what we're going to have this evening. We've got
leftover stew.
We've got a little leftover stew.
What about some of those leaves that you keep bringing home?
I think I will bring
They're
some...
rather tasty.
Some Portuguese cabbage leaves home.
Absolutely. I love that. I could eat a plate of that on its own, I think, with some butter and Parmesan cheese. Maybe some pasta.
That would be rather... Well, I mean, I do sometimes make this into a kale and walnut pesto.
I don't think you need to make it into a pesto.
But apparently I don't need to make it into a pesto.
I think it could just be tossed through pasta.
Yes, just toss it through pasta.
Wilted into it.
With 6 tons of cheese.
With lots of cheese, some butter, black pepper, and a little bit of olive oil perhaps.
There we are.
Maybe some breadcrumbs.
Oh yes, some breadcrumbs done in a pan so that they're sort of crispy.
Just any breadcrumbs.
Just any breadcrumbs.
Some garlic. There you go. Quick and easy.
Fine. Might have that this evening.
And look out for our new cookery video that will be out this week on Wednesday if I can be bothered to edit it in time.
No, you have to. You've got another day off tomorrow. You've got plenty of time.
I know. I'm going to do that tomorrow.
He's doing that tomorrow. Yeah. And that's a really good one. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's another Instant Pot recipe. So that's it. We're saying goodbye now. Say goodbye, Paul. Say goodbye.
Goodbye, Paul.
Goodbye.
And goodbye to everybody whose name isn't Paul too.
Yeah. Goodbye. To the pip au revoir. Bye.
See you again soon.
Bye.
In less than a week.
Bye.
For another edition.
Bye.
Of Sunday Chat.
Goodbye.
Bye.